Wow, it's got some Momo. So you held Shafiq, nice. Spiegel held. Stick rate call. Timing couldn't have been better on it. So we're going to review EIA here right away. Oil. Okay, we're actually going to be on live here in the room for EIA at 9:05, so we'll be 5 minutes behind due to the flight delay. I'm sorry, 10:05. So 10:05, the EIA report. The actual report's at 10:30. Congrats, Longs. That's a nice play. So I'm going to take 2 minutes here and get my oil sharding ready. And then we'll get on to CPLI has come off a little more on you guys. And then we'll get ready for that report. 10:30's EIA, and of course OPEC news starts late tomorrow night. There's a schedule on my Twitter feed. But I'm going to bring up my charting here first, and then we'll get at taking a look at oil. So good morning, folks. Sorry about the delays this morning. I think my flight was delayed about 3.5 hours. I was on a 12-seater over the mountains and we couldn't land. And of course we didn't have Wi-Fi on that little puddle jumper, and I'm alive and here. So we didn't have the best open anyway in our momentum side in the trading room. So oil trade has come into the target for this morning. The lower target, there's two each day. Yesterday I'd hit the upper target, went for the other upper target here this morning, early this morning, came down. It's funny, tries to hit both targets normally. We produce these targets on Sundays. Anyway, so got into the target this morning at 8:30, dead center is at 10:30 here, and now it's going up and after the second target. And typically for Wednesday it'll sit right in between the two targets like it is right now, awaiting the report. So the report's released here in 24 minutes. I'm just going to bring up some data and then I'll be back on. Oh yeah, hey, oh, okay. He was on the flight. Pretty crazy flight. So I'm just scanning for some data here to see if I can pick up a little bit of news here before the report, and then I'll be back on in 2 minutes. Okay, it doesn't look like I can get any insight here at all. Price is holding right between the two targets that we had published on Sunday. It's literally right in between the two targets. So we got an upper target and a lower target. I'm just going to give it another 2 minutes here to see if I can find some early data. If I can't, I'm just going to explain the charting anyway before we actually hit the report here so we know what to expect. I'm going to get my trades ready also. And I'll explain my trade or trades here in a minute too. Okay, so the chatter is pretty light actually this morning. So yeah, Epic's charting the upper target on FX US oil. So we use, right now we use FX US oil. Our 24-hour oil room is opening on June 12th. The official announcement's not out yet. The date's moved up to June 12th, but it has been. Anyway, our charting will change between now and then. Hopefully it's done by then. The algorithm shifts over to CL and futures now this morning. So FX US oil, the upper target for Epic was 51.92. The lower target 51.19. That's the middle of the targets anyway. And right now oil sitting directly in between at 51.54, which is pretty typical of Epic. Oil trying to hit both the targets yesterday. It just about hit the first, and then it got into the second target. Then this morning it got into the lower first target, and now it's making its way. Well, it started making its way and it stopped halfway to the upper target. And these targets are published for our members Sunday evening. So I'm just looking at chatter here real quick, and then I'm going to explain this charting in a little more detail. Okay, so our expectations for the report here. There is no extra chatter that I can get a hold of here this morning. First of all, OPEC, here's the agenda. This is on my Twitter feed, by the way, so Kurt Melanopoly. And you can make fun of my last name if you like. So OPEC, here's the agenda for Thursday, May 25th. So tomorrow evening, or it's actually tomorrow morning, Eastern Time, is the press conference. I thought that was evening that was happening. But here's the Eastern Times here in Vienna time. Yeah, so that would be evening. No, it's not. It's morning. So the non-OPEC press conference, the session is closed at 4:45 Eastern. The opening session at 9 o'clock with non-OPEC. So we'll see how they do. Here's the API. So they're thinking bullish. Wall Street Journal did a piece on OOTT and their launch. So they're getting some significant coverage. Anyway, so that's on my feed on Kurt Melanopoly. To find our Algos feed, you go to Epic, the Algo Twitter feed, and that gets you into Epic's calls, etc., etc. And then real quick to get to Epic's posts, actual blog posts, you can just click on compoundtrading.com on Epic the Algo. This is historical target hits and that kind of thing. Of course, when we publish to the members, it's locked, and our reports are locked for some time, a few weeks at a time usually, until a trade is out of its current trading zone or area. But anyway, it's a good feed to keep up with what Epic's doing. And then on the actual Compound Trading website, so after you've clicked on compoundtrading.com, you go to the website and you go to blog, algorithmic charting reports, and then you click on Epic. And then when you get there, the first few that come up will be the locked reports, and then further down, if you scroll down, it'll be the unlocked reports. So the members, they type in a password and their report's there. And most days there's a report out. This morning there wasn't because of the flight delay in the mountains, but the charting is the same from yesterday anyway. Oh yeah, and PayPal, we actually have a partnership with them now, and they're financing our member fees, etc., etc. You can just click on that to get it off. But anyway, if you scroll down, you know, about 10 reports back, so here's an example report. And so we publish the targets and the main report on Sunday or Monday, you know, early Monday morning. And this is what the reports look like, of course, and there's live charting in there, etc. The one other thing you need to know if you're looking into Epic, you go to the About. There's Epic Story, our algorithm development process, and my biography in there. And it explains how the algorithm actually works. We don't hide anything. It's basically, as far as we're concerned, open source. We lock the reports for the respect of the members, of course, because they're paying a membership fee. But the actual algorithm and the process and how we come to be able to produce reports that produce these target hits so precisely and regularly, like this morning's, for example, that got into the target this morning and it starts going towards the second target. That was published again on Sunday. So you'll find, if you go through Epic's reports, that it's unusually good at hitting these targets. Now, that's not really the main value of Epic. the main value of Epic is the actual charting. This charting provides members with, and here's where the trade is this morning. For example, these gray lines here that make up a thicker gray line, this is the algorithm's support area for the current trading range. Now this is known months in advance and published, of course. Well, members have known about this for many weeks. I don't know if it'd be months, but we know because you publish a certain amount in advance. But anyway, that's the main algorithm support. Whether or not that fits with conventional charting, I can't tell you. I haven't checked it, but our members know exactly where support is. But more than that, they know where the channels are of trade before we get to the channels of trade. So these orange dotted lines are actually, if you can kind of look at them as runways. If you see these purple lines here, these dotted lines, that's the width of that runway. So these purple lines are not support and resistance. They're the only lines on here that aren't support and resistance of some form. They're simply showing the width of that runway, or if you think GPS. So there's a channel going up here, and the channel, oil is in the channel, hit this morning. These purple arrows actually show you the direction of that particular channel. So what's important here is that the bottom of the channel's here, and the wide trading range supports here. And what's interesting is it started trading here Sunday night, right above the support that our members knew was sitting there. And sure enough, it came off a little bit, but it's back into that channel and now working its way through and into the targets that we published. If it's a bullish report, you can expect trade. And by the way, we're sharing this live right now because, of course, we're promoting the 24-hour oil room that's coming up, because, of course, this will be updated regularly in the room, and this is the charting, and with conventional charting, etc., we'll be using in the 24-hour room. But anyway, this upper channel, if it's bullish, you can expect trade to move up this channel. And so it just goes diagonally like this. The horizontal lines that you see are various support and resistance. Most of them Fibonacci levels, some of them conventional. So that's the horizontal support and resistance. Up top, we know where they're, where the end of the broad trading range, the current trading range for the algorithm is. So our members know as they get closer, to take the throttle off of any long positions. So if it is a bullish report, if it's a bearish report, we actually have a channel ready for the members. So there's really three channels. There's three choices, trade channels in the algorithm right now. And here's the primary one going down. So we produce the targets for that scenario. And of course, the members know not to consider those targets unless it's in the channel. They're considering the targets it's actually hitting right now. But had trade moved down the channel, these would be the targets that the members would consider. If the report causes a downdraft in trade, this is the channel that you would expect trade to go through. And the purple lines here show the channel width, and the arrows show the channel direction. And then the support and resistance lines that I'm not going to explain in great detail right now, the members know. The other thing that the members know, so they know the wide channel. So this is an example, this support here. So the wide or broad quadrant trading range, support and resistance. So they know the real broad area, they know the channels, they know the targets, and then they also know the intraday quadrants. Now this is a 30-day chart. So all of these diagonal lines that you see make up quadrants. And what we mean by that is, if you look at the way oil trades, so right here, these diamonds are the 30-minute time cycle quadrants. So we can produce this charting, and we'll be doing that in the room for 1 minute, 3, 5, 15, all the different time cycles. So of course these There's quadrants inside of quadrants. It depends how tight our traders are trading. But day to day, we use the 30-minute chart, and you can see how when oil moves through the quadrant, it hits the outside of a quadrant, and typically the apex, the top there, is where it shoots for. Yesterday, if you check the video from yesterday when trade was down in this range, I said that the algos would shoot for as a target, not only the targets that you see, but inside of the quadrant, the algos will go for the top apex of that quadrant, and sure enough, it hit it exact. So in intraday trade, the traders would know once it gets to the top of the quadrant, well, to pull back on the throttle. And then when it hit the bottom side, just near the bottom side of the quadrant, oil came up. And then the targets for 10:30. So the times for the targets, by the way, we produced 3 time cycle targets Tuesday at 4:30. This one's moved now. It's actually supposed to be. So it's at 4:30 every Tuesday. On TradingView, these targets will move, so we have to adjust them every day. This chart just hasn't been adjusted yet today. So there's Tuesday at 4:30, Wednesday at 10:30, coinciding with the EIA report, and then Friday, this one's supposed to be at 1 o'clock, so you see how this will need adjustment. And this is just the way it is with the TradingView charting. So we adjust it every day. So these targets are produced on Sunday every week for Tuesday at 4:30, Wednesday at 10:30, and Friday at 1 o'clock. So the short of it is, if we get upper momentum at report time after perhaps one of these targets or both get hit in 3 minutes when the report comes out, I'm looking at that upper channel. If it isn't a great report, I'm looking at the lower channel. And then there's a third option here for another channel that runs parallel to the upper channel, but we don't consider that the primary. So the 2 that I showed you are the 2 that we're considering most. As a trader, I think it's going to be bullish and work its way up the channel, but I don't know that. So we provide the traders with the channels so that they can trade support area and then get short at the resistance area of the channel. So we're a couple minutes from the report here, so I'm just going to get ready for that. But I'll be trading this channel is the point. So going into the report, we don't take positions. We take positions after the report once the channel's confirmed. So we want to see how trade handles the report thing. That's why price is sitting exactly in between the two targets. So trade has become so predictable in oil that we can produce these targets on Sunday and know that the probability is this is the scenario that'll play out. So we're just over a minute to the report, so I'm going to get ready for that. So you can see the machines have placed trade perfectly between these 2 targets. And we are 1 minute from report. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to magnify trade, get in a little closer here so we can see what's happening. That green line, it just tells you where the time cycle is at 10:30 Wednesday morning. So you can see trade right now in FX USOIL trading at 51.47. The lower target here at 51.18, upper target at 51.92. And the report's about 20 seconds away. See, yesterday at 4:30, the upper target, it just touched it. The lower target, it just touched it. So we're going to have the report here any second. Seconds. And here comes the report. Now trade is right here at 51.65, 51.70. It's going for the upper target. It's hit a Fibonacci resistance. So it's doing what I expected, that it would go after that upper target. It's at 51.75, 76. So it's just coming to the bottom side of the target right now. So it hit the lower target earlier today. Now it's just getting into the target at 51.80. It hit that heavy resistance. The thicker these lines are, by the way, the more resistance there is. So it came right up into the target, hit the Fibonacci resistance area, the red line. And so on the intra, this is heavy resistance right at the entry of the target. The blue line here, horizontal line, is fairly heavy. The outside of this quadrant wall is heavy resistance. So it's got actually 4 different heavy resistance here to get its way into the middle of that target. So it's definitely fighting to get into that upper target. So I'm going to magnify this just a little bit more, so you can see how trade just got in here. And now it's pushed through 3 different resistance. So there's one here, the blue line, the purple line, the quadrant wall, and the red lines. The red lines are the thick ones. And now trade's trying to make its way into the center of the target. The center of the target sits at 51.91, and trade got up to 51.85, so it's 6 cents away from the target so far. Now this is a target that's produced on Sunday evening for Wednesday morning at 10:30. So far our target call is within 6 cents of that exact time. The oil's coming off. It's back underneath the resistance areas. And this is really typical when you have a target where resistance is sitting right on the underside of the target. But it's, it's still working its way. We'll see how it does here. 6 cents is a pretty tradable call anyway, but we'll see if it actually gets right into the center of it. So when trade was working its way into the top of this this quadrant here, this is what I mean by quadrant walls. It got right into this resistance, right up into the apex. So the apex of the quadrants are really important, by the way. And once you just learn how to use the algorithm on an intraday basis, you kind of understand the way that it works. But if I was in the trade here, I would know as a trader using Epic the algo that once it gets up into the apex, it's either going to spike or it's going to fail. And it'll spike or fail dramatically like it did there. So getting back to current trade, it's still working its way, trying to work its way through these 4 different resistance areas. And you can see clearly how when it gets to each resistance area that's on the charting, it struggles and then it backs off. Now at each resistance, what happens is the machines wait for the human traders to confirm whether or not they want to go up or they want to go down. So this is typical of each report where the decision has to be made. And then going a little bit further into the future, what I do as a trader is I wait for this actual channel that I was explaining to confirm. Once I know whether this channel confirms, then I can, as a trader, confidently, if it's an upward channel, at the lower part of the channel, I can trade long. At the top of the channel, I trade short in an upward trend. and in an upward trend. Of course, my short at the top of the channel isn't as highly probable as my long at the bottom of the channel, and the reverse or downward channel. What's important is this is future forward charting. So conventional charting is now charting what's happening, what is happening now and what happened in the past. Epics charting, our algorithmic charting, charted all of this in advance. So it's basically like a GP.